Hi everyone, welcome back to Venusianscorp Astrology and Tarot. If you're new here, my name is Venusianscorp and I talk about different aspects related to astrology and tarot. Today we'll be talking about the moon in the 10th house and how it affects your personality, your role, especially in your career, because that's what the 10th house rules. So let's talk about it. Before I get started with the rest of the video, I just want to let you know that if you'd like to book a reading with me, you can drop me a message on email. The link is in the description box and I'll get back to you soon. All the services are also listed in the description box below. Okay, so the moon in the 10th house. So the moon is your emotions. It represents a very core part of your personality that not very many people get to see. So it's a very personal side of you. It's your emotions, and the traditional ruler of the moon in astrology is Cancer. Cancer is ruled by the moon. It's all about nurturing, mothering, nourishment. It's a very fourth house or home energy. It's about roots, your childhood, that kind of thing. The 10th house is your public image. It's about your career, it's about your ambition, your aspirations. The public image, the reputation that you have in society, the reputation that you build over time uh, to have a certain image in society. That's your 10th house. And it's a very Capricorn house. The traditional ruler of the 10th house is Capricorn, while the 4th house is a Cancerian ruled house. So the moon in the fourth, because the moon is the fourth house ruler traditionally, because it's a Cancerian house, having it in the 10th house is a bit of an anomaly, because you have the moon placed in the opposite end of the axis. The 10th house is a Capricorn house. So it is going to create some challenges, but it also has some very deep rewards attached to it. So I'll talk about the benefits of having this placement first. So the moon in the 10th house can make you the kind of person who knows very early in life what they want to do, especially when it comes to their career or their ambition or what they want to make out of their life. That's very clear to you as a child. Your mother may have been a very strong influence when it came to you deciding what career choice you should take or what career path you should take, because we're talking about the moon here and the moon represents the mother. So your mother may have played a very strong role in your life in shaping what career choices you need to make in life, or she may have instilled certain values in you regarding working hard, the very Saturnian nature that that Capricorn has. Work hard, be disciplined, no free lunch, that kind of in those kind of values may have been instilled by your mother. So you may have grown up with those values and you may believe that it's really important for you to really work hard and build a strong reputation or career in your society. And the good thing about this is being a moon in the 10th house person gives you an uncanny ability to be able to pick up the emotional energy in a room, especially in the workplace. So your emotional quotient or your emotional intelligence is usually very high. You may be the kind of person that can read the room, so to speak. So if you're working with a team of colleagues, on a particular project, you would be the kind of person that can gauge who is feeling what or what the emotional nature is, and you can make very smart, intuitive decisions accordingly. And these are very smart, I say, because it's not mechanical. You're basically gauging the emotions of your colleagues regarding certain work projects and things like that, and so you can delegate work projects accordingly based on the emotional nature of your colleagues. So this is a very good placement to have, because you're naturally a very good leader. This is the way that you lead your teams and you lead your colleagues, because you treat them as family almost. It's not so much about just work and a professional environment. You really carry the team forward, and that is something that your colleagues really appreciate about you, because you can be the kind of person that just knows exactly what your colleague is sensing, and so you can assign tasks accordingly, which your colleagues appreciate, because that's a very intuitive skill that not very many people have, now another thing is that the flip side of this, and I'll be talking about the challenges in a bit. The flip side of this is that because it's your moon here, and your moon is what you need to feel safe and secure in life, that's what the moon represents, and having the moon in the 10th house, which has to do with your career, your public image and things like that, it can make you almost a bit dependent on your career and public image to satisfy your emotional requirements if you're not careful. So what this means is you could be very sensitive to public opinion or criticism as well. Like if your moon is not in a favorable position, for example, if it does not have good aspects with other planets, then it can sometimes lead to almost seeking validation from your job or from the career choice that you have. And the good thing about it is that, like I said before, you can treat your colleagues as family, you lead from the front, you are a complete team player, and people love you. Like, you are a people person, especially because of that emotional undercurrent that you can sense going on in the room. But the flip side of this is sometimes lines and boundaries can be blurred, where you may treat your colleagues like family to such an extent where you don't have very strong boundaries in that sense. So you forget that they are just colleagues, and at the end of the day, it's a professional environment. Not that you're unprofessional, not at all, but internally, because it's the moon we're talking about, these are your emotions. You can treat your colleagues as your family, which can lead you to feel hurt sometimes, especially if they don't feel the same way, which usually doesn't happen in a work context. It's very professional and matter of fact, right? So if you so these kind of situations can lead to hurt for you. So while it is a very good placement for you to make very intuitive decisions and be a complete team player and those kind of things, it can also lead to the shadow side, which is about seeking validation, being overly sensitive to public opinion or criticism, and then not having very strong boundaries when it comes to your work environment or like your colleagues. Like I said, you could be overly dependent on the career or the public image to have the sense of emotional satisfaction. It can lead to a drive which is driven by your emotions. And this can be almost like a bottomless pit if you're not careful, because this is the 10th house we're talking about, and it's ruled by Capricorn traditionally. And Capricorn is known as a workhorse. It can become a very much of a workaholic if it's not careful. The Capricorns have that reputation of being workaholics, and because it's your moon here, the fuel of your drive, what is basically motivating you to work more, is your emotions. And it can be like a bottomless pit. Like I said, you may always be hungry for public validation, you may always be hungry for more and more and more, being noticed at the workplace in order to feel that sense of accomplishment. But at the end of the day, that's the thing, you need to realize that the emotional satisfaction has to come from within you, and not from a public or an external focus. Because when you put that center of focus outside of you, you're giving away your power. In a sense, you're putting that much power into the hands of your colleagues or your work environment, when you the focus should be within yourself, which is what brings me back to that whole 10th house 4th house axis. Because when we talk about the moon, it does very well in the 4th house, because that's the traditional ruler of the moon. That's a Cancerian house. So the focus here needs to be more, in order to have a proper balance, so that you don't get carried away by career and ambition to such an extent that you become a slave, so to speak, quote unquote, to the workplace, is to focus more on yourself. Bring back the locus of control into yourself. Make yourself the center of focus and try to nurture yourself more. Again, Cancerian things like checking in with your emotions. That's another thing, because the 10th house is such a public house. The 10th house, these are very public houses. Everything is on display. There's nowhere to hide, basically. But unlike the first house, which is about self-expression and things like that, the 10th house is about protocol. It's a Capricorn house, the Saturnian house. So it's about discipline, public image, especially maintaining a certain image in society. That's very, very important to you, because if you feel like your image is disturbed in any way, then that can really play havoc on your emotions. And because it's a 10th house, it's a very public house, so your emotions can be on display. So even the slightest criticism sometimes from work colleagues or like people in your workplace can be a very big jolt to your emotional nature. So you may feel really unsettled, while the same remark to somebody else may have been like almost nothing, but to you it may be a very big deal because it's your moon here we're talking about. um, Another thing that I want to sorry if I can talk today. Another thing that I wanted to mention today is there could be an imbalance between the home life and the public image. If your moon is not feeling content or your emotions are not getting fulfilled, like I said, you could be very sensitive to public opinion and things like that. There could be an imbalance between the home life and public image, because like I said, it's a hunger, and that hunger is getting fueled by your emotions, right? It's your moon. So like I said, it could be a bottomless pit, and if you're not careful, you could be so driven in your workplace in order to satisfy your emotional needs that you forget the fourth house, sorry, which is your home life, which is your family, your private life, your home life. So there needs to be a balance between the two and not getting overly focused on one area of life. There could be an immense pressure to maintain a certain public image, or maintain a certain reputation in society, and that can have a negative connotation, in the sense that you could actually end up suppressing expressing your own true nature or your own true emotions. Like you could not be authentic with yourself, because it's always about the public image, it's always about the reputation and the image that you've maintained in society. That becomes so important that you may hide your true emotions, or you may be very, very cautious about expressing who you are as a person internally. And that's where the whole Cancerian side, the fourth house side, becomes very important, because it's important to check in with yourself regularly. Ask yourself questions like, what are you feeling? What are your emotions on a day to day basis? That becomes very important for you, because your moon is on display in the 10th house. So you need to protect it in some way or the other. You can't let it be all on display all the time, because the moon is a very soft uh, part of our personality. It's our emotions, and the 10th house really has no time for emotions. It's the workplace, it's your emotion, your reputation in society. It's not a place to have emotions, really. And having the moon there can be very corrosive to your emotional nature. So if you're not doing regular daily meditations or exercises to protect the moon, or protect your emotions on a day to day basis, or to safeguard your emotions so that you don't end up getting hurt, then this can lead to a corrosive effect in the long run, which is why those Cancerian traits become very important, of nurturing yourself emotionally. Now, another thing that I did want to mention is, if like I always say, it depends on the whole chart. So if you have other aspects with your moon going on in the 10th house, like pleasant aspects like the trines and things like that, then that could soften the effects of this placement. However, if the moon is the only planet that's placed in the 10th house, then it could lead to a sort of an isolation in the pursuit of your career. What I mean by that is, you could be so driven by success and fueling the emotional need, because your emotions are tied to your success, right? It's your public image. You could be so driven by that you forget about the journey, and it's all about the destination. And once you reach the top, like they say, it's lonely at the top. So that could apply in this case, and it ceases to be a shared team experience of winning or accomplishments. It could be just a lone horse kind of a pursuit. So be careful that it doesn't become like that. Stay true to being a team player, as that you already are. But if you have the moon as the only planet in the 10th house, then there could be a very stark division, a very sharp contrast between your personal and private life, or like your personal and professional life. And so, um, there could be such a contrast that it's almost like you're two different people, one person in the public space, one person at home. So it's very important to find a proper balance where you're channeling your emotions in a constructive way, because it's in the 10th house. It is in a very public space, so it is on display, but you need to be balancing your emotions in such a way so that you strike the right balance between professionalism and also being able to channel your emotions in a constructive way. But that's about it for what I have for you for the moon in the 10th house. But otherwise, it's a really good placement. I think it's tremendous. Like these people, like if you have this placement, it has the potential for a huge drive. Like you could be very, very successful in life, because it's the moon you're talking about. And it's moon, if put into a constructive zone, it can be very, very good for fueling your career choices and becoming really ambitious in life. So yeah, it's a really good placement, but it's important to keep in mind these particular challenges that can arise. But that's about it. That's what I have for you for the moon in the 10th house. If you like this video, do give it a thumbs up. Your likes help my videos stay relevant in the YouTube algorithm and also motivate me to keep generating more content for you, my lovely subscribers. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. I'll see you in my next video. Bye bye.